AFC Championship game because for the fourth time in 5 years, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are headed back to the big game. They will represent the AFC, and I would argue that this game was over when the Baltimore Ravens went 3-and-out on their first drive, and the Chiefs responded right back with the incredible back shoulder throw over Mahomes to Travis Kelce in the end zone to make it a 7-0 game.
That should have been offensive pass interference on Travis Kelce.
No, it should not have been offensive pass interference. I completely disagree. It's the playoffs. You're going to let the guys play. It was not an intentional push-off, and I completely disagree with that take.
It was a deliberate push-off.
No, it was not. I completely disagree with that take. Are we starting this all already? Everybody's so upset because the Chiefs just outplayed the Ravens. There was no bad officiating in that game. There was no bad pass interference calls late. It's the postseason. There's going to be contact. And the bottom line is the Chiefs outplayed the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson played the worst game of the season. That's what I saw. The Chiefs were the better team. They deserve to win the game, and I told everybody, including you last week, that if you give the Chiefs 3.5 points, I knew exactly what was going to happen.
And just looking ahead to the Super Bowl for a minute, San Francisco is favored last I saw.
Yes, they are favored by 1.5, and for the record, I already have the Chiefs plus 1.5. We'll dive into it next week, but I'm telling you right now, I am not making the same mistake again.
God, I hate Patrick Mahomes. I really do.
See, but you're letting your bias get into, I believe, I'm already hearing it in your voice, that you are letting your bias take away from the analysis of what you saw in this game. The Baltimore Ravens did not come ready to play. They did not run the ball. They did not run their entire offense all season long. And the greatness of Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce took over this game because it's what champions do. And Baltimore, we both said it. They felt like the team of destiny, right? They were the best team easily in the regular season, but they were not able to finish the job.
Playoff Lamar showed up at the worst time. I don't know what he was thinking throwing that pass into, I think it was triple coverage. That was stupid. Zay Flowers, let me just talk about him for a minute. You get the huge pass from Lamar. Why are you taunting? There was no need for that. That cost the Ravens points. And this touchback rule.
Again,
it is stupid.
Why? How he knocked it out of the end zone and the Chiefs recovered it in the end zone. What are you talking about? Where do you want to put the ball, Josh? Tell me.
Put it back at the 5-yard line.
So wait, the Chiefs recover the ball. You want them to get the ball because they recover the ball in the end zone. You want them to get the ball on their own 5-yard line.
What?
How would that make any sense? Do you want to tell me? You won't even tell me, will you? Because you don't have an answer.
Okay, why should I get it. The Chiefs need to get rewarded, but why is it always at the freaking 20-yard line?
Because by rule, it's the same thing as a punt. When you punt the ball and it goes out of the back of the end zone, the ball goes at the 20-yard line. If the ball goes into the end zone, it's at the 20-yard line. That's why.
Okay, in this case, I'm okay with the touchback rule, but in the situations where the defense is not able to recover it, no, the defense should not get the ball. No.
Offense fumbled the ball out of the back of the end zone. It's out of the field of play. It's not because the end zone, when you fumble it out of the back of the end zone, that is the end line of the end of play. It's not like you fumble it out of bounds, even though it's still technically in the field of play. That is the difference in the rule, and the defense gets rewarded because the offense should not get rewarded for fumbling a ball out of the end zone, and you should not put it back at the 1-yard line. I think it's the stupidest rule in all football.
It already is stupid the way it is.
It's not because you reward. Why are we talking about this in the middle of what we should be talking about, which is the AFC Championship game, which is the fact that Kansas City Chiefs beat the Baltimore Ravens? That's the biggest storyline. We have 7 months to debate the touchback rule. We need to be talking about this game right here, right now. And again, the Chiefs, they didn't even score in the second half of game. They did not score. And Zay Flowers' fumble at the goal line cost the Ravens points. And yes, probably did cost them the game. But the bottom line is, for most of the game, Lamar Jackson played like crap, was making bad decisions. The Chiefs controlled the game. They set the tone early, and they were rewarded, and they should have won the game.
What I don't understand is the Chiefs were playing, I think, like 6 defensive backs. Why did the Ravens not commit to the run game?
Yeah, I don't understand. Gus Edwards only had 1 carry in the first half, which went for 15 yards, and they just never went back to it.
It was so stupid. Like, John Harbaugh, Todd Monken, you built your offense on running the football, not passing it. I get it. Lamar improved as a passer this year, and he had very good and great weapons, the likes of Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Nelson Aguilar, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr. But you can't just abandon the run game. That's why you steamrolled opponents this season.
The Ravens dominated teams like the Niners, the Seahawks, the Lions. It took them apart. Miami, Jacksonville. I mean, they were dominant all season long, but they ran into the champs. They ran into the dynasty in the NFL, the new dynasty, I should say, right after the New England Patriots. This always happens in all sports. When one dynasty leaves, a new dynasty enters. The New England dynasty died when Brady left. The Kansas City dynasty was born. And here we are, the Chiefs now with an opportunity for the first time since the 2004 New England Patriots to go back to back.
I'm not 100% ready to call it a dynasty yet. If they win the Super Bowl this year, I'm fine with it being called a dynasty. I'm not quite there yet, though.
I mean, I guess it's fair, even though they've already won 2 Super Bowls in a 5-year period. They made 6 straight AFC Championship games. I think that counts as a dynasty to me. I mean, they're 3 out of 4 in those Super Bowls. Obviously, the one loss coming to Tampa. If they only had 1, I get it. But Patrick Mahomes has only lost 3 playoff games in his life, and 2 of them are to Tom Brady, and the other one was to Joe Burrow.
Which, let's talk about that part of the equation for a minute. Everybody's talking about Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. You could throw Justin Herbert into that discussion, I guess. Tua, and no. It is just Mahomes, and everybody else is down here. I don't care who you put in that everybody else discussion. Whether it's Josh Allen. I don't need to go through all the quarterbacks I just listed again, but you get my point.
Yeah, I personally think next year, depending on if he stays healthy, I think Burrow could make a case to be in that Mahomes category. I think that the Bengals this year would have been really good if Joe Burrow wouldn't have gotten hurt. I still think they would have made a run. I think Burrow and the Bengals are going to be pretty good next year. We'll see how the loss of T. Higgins, who we assume will be leaving in free agency, will affect that team. But I think
Cleveland, please.
But I think Joe Burrow is that guy. I think he might be even more that guy that Patrick Mahomes is, because I still believe, I like Brady, and Brady did carry the back half of that dynasty, but the first half of that dynasty was all Coach Belichick. I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are a match made in heaven, and I'm very interested to see, we'll get into this more next week, whether Andy Reid does call it a career, if Kansas City does indeed host the Lombardi after Super Bowl 58. We got to move to the NFC Championship game. And Dan Campbell, love you, coach. Love your energy. Love your aggressiveness. But Dan, take the damn field goal, please. And this game would have been tied up at 28. And who knows, maybe the Lions, go down and score. Maybe we get an overtime game. I thought the Lions completely outplayed the Niners in the first half. And again, a lot like you, I know you weren't rooting for Kansas City. I wasn't rooting for San Francisco. But I got to admit, in the second half, Brock Purdy with his feet made more plays than probably anybody of the four quarterbacks made with their feet over championship weekend. Brock Purdy and that San Francisco 49ers defense took apart the Lions in the second half. And it's what I've been saying about Ben Johnson, who we now know will be coming back to Detroit, is that Ben Johnson is a very good play caller in the first half of games. The Detroit Lions had a very good first half against the Rams. They struggled in the second half. They survived. They had a bad first half against Tampa. They made a little run in the second half, but let's be honest, they survived. They dominated the San Francisco 49ers in the first half, and that game should have been over. But the Lions went too much into their shell. They did not move the ball offensively in the second half. San Francisco made more plays, including the incredible catch by Brandon Ayuk off the face mask of Vador, which we will be talking about for years, especially if San Francisco goes on to win the Super Bowl. And yeah, I mean, the Lions, they made some bad coaching decisions. They were super aggressive, which they've been all year. You got to stick to your identity. But I do believe Dan Campbell, that decision to not kick the field goal could have cost the Lions a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
And that's why I phrased the question as I did on the topic bar of, did the Lions lose this game or did the 49ers win it? Because I think it's a very fair question to ask because of what you pointed out about Dan Campbell's aggressiveness and not taking the points and constantly going for it on fourth down, giving the 49ers hope and life when they shouldn't have had either of those. But think about this for a second. Kyle Shanahan was on the opposite end of a blown lead this time because he did it in the Super Bowl 4 years ago against Kansas City. He did it against New England in Super Bowl 51, 28-3. And here he is on the other side coming back from down 24-7. So I do think that's an interesting part of the conversation.
Yeah, it's something that, going back to the divisional round against Green Bay, San Francisco had never won a game throwing in the fourth quarter under Kyle Shanahan. They now have done it twice, though. I think they more beat Green Bay to answer this question. I do think the Lions sort of watched the game more than San Francisco won it. But the bottom line is, the Niners have a lot of playoff experience. And now they want revenge from the Super Bowl 4 years ago when Patrick Mahomes came in. They were down 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes throws the prayer to Tyreek Hill. And so we will see. It's going to be a very fascinating game. But for the Lions' sake, I think we all kind of thought, this year, maybe they win a playoff game. They got a break, in my opinion, from Dallas and Philadelphia, both going out early. It was those 2 playoff games. Now that Ben Johnson's coming back, even though they're going to have a harder schedule next year, Josh, you look at the Lions' schedule, and I said going into this game, and Jared Goff did play well for most of this game. I said he will play well unless it is completely in outdoor weather like Chicago or Green Bay, which next year, the Lions only have 2 outdoor games that will probably be cold. And if they get them both early, the Lions can be playing in all dome or warm weather games all season long. At Chicago and at Green Bay are there only 2 cities that you could see a potential cold game from the Lions next year.
Yeah, so that's advantaged Lions right there. I thought Brock Purdy really showed me something because I didn't know he had that type of mobility because you don't see the 49ers call designed quarterback runs for Brock Purdy the way we do for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Not comparing Brock Purdy to Lamar Jackson, obviously, but given what Brock Purdy showed, I felt like it was a fair statement to make there.
He had over 50 rushing yards in the second half alone.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying, though. Brock Purdy showed me that he has that mobility. I always, based on what I have seen from him this season, I thought he was just like a stationary quarterback where if you get him off of his spot, he's gonna, make a mistake or something like that.